adult.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in on Sunday Funnies. This is the Sunday Funnies for April 4th, 2021. We're glad you're here. We're just talking comics. We were already talking before we started recording. So Brian was showing us his Scott McCloud book he found for $1.
Wow.
At Dollar Tree.
At Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, folks, you might want to start scouring them Dollar Trees.
Except in my area. Go away. I want more. Christmas is coming, kids.
Brian needs that clean pickings. So first dibs. Yeah. I found out that there are times at Ollie's I've walked out with a box full of books.
Oh, yeah.
Just, you know, I've dropped 100, 150 at an Ollie's after they had a book dump. Yeah.
That's pretty much, you can get, my hours is drying up on books. So pretty much a box worth. Yeah. And no, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that.
Well, they sit there long enough, they get picked apart and dog-eared and stuff. You really have to be careful what you're buying.
Well, that's true. I mean, that is the risk you take at those types of stores. Yeah.
You know, my Ollie's has Miss Marvel and Grimm Fairy Tale stuff. That's what they have right now. That's what you get.
And seen the material, yeah.
Yep. It's the majority.
If you want dog-eared comics, then you should look at my collection. It'd fit right in.
There we go.
Yeah. They really have
that's JD's nightmare. Mm-hmm. To have dog-eared anything.
Oh wow! Well, I can never work out these people who spend these vast amounts of money for Spider-Man #1 and then is it slab it? Do they call it slab?
Yeah.
Maybe I can understand that, but my comics, I've not got Spider-Man #1, but I've got a few from way back when, and they're just falling apart because I read them, I look at them, and they're beautiful things, and I remember when I was a kid and all sorts of things, you know. So I'll have to be.
Well, once you slab it, you're just it's like a baseball card. You just swap the card.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can understand. Yeah, I can understand, you know, archiving certain things that you can't really put your hands on constantly. But I mean, really, Spawn #1 needs to be slabbed. Come on. There's a million of those out there.
It's an investment. It's an investment.
Dog ear that dog earring. It's Easter. I don't want to keep the...
I know folks are going to hate me for saying this, but really, you can slab Spawn #1.
Right.
You really can. Because if you pick up Spawn 14, it's pretty much the same story.
Well, that's true, right? So you're not missing
it. You know,
really not.
Speaking of artwork, like we weren't, it just came to mind. A lady contacted me yesterday on Facebook, and she's got some of my artwork. She lives in Oklahoma.
Oh.
And she's got some of my artwork from 1979.
Wow.
Really?
Isn't that amazing? I said I want it back. You know, she got it at,
like you want it. You want it. It's like that insurance commercial we see with the old guy that's fishing. Almost had it. Almost had it. Oh no.
So she said there was some. It was Kennedy related. There were drawings of John F. Kennedy that I did years ago. They're not very good.
Oh, sweet, yeah.
But it's there, you know. She sent me a scan of the name on it and everything. It's my signature, and it's all there. I mean, I vaguely remember actually drawing it, and I was trying to work out how how they got to America, and I think I've worked it out. But it's a very strange route to go down.
That's always a weird thing. Yeah. It's always a weird thing trying to figure out how our artwork gets places.
Yeah.
Especially when we don't remember
doing it. Yeah.
Maybe it's a forgery. Maybe there's forgers out there, going after your market, guys.
The Glenn Fleming market.
Well, let's put it this way: if it is a forgery, it's not a very good one. Meaning it's not very good. It's not very good art to have copied. Do you understand what I mean?
I have a question. I have not a question, but I have a story about someone's art getting somewhere they didn't know it was. If it was pretty funny, but I don't know if Randy wants to do the intro first and. They ever introduce themselves? I'm not sure.
Like a Rowena painting ended up in Saddam Hussein's palace.
Did it really?
Well, in the end, it turned out to be a reproduction because she says that the person who owned that painting is in Japan. So at least she knows where her paintings are. Well, not anymore.
Saddam's cousin.
But yeah.
Well, you never know until you get right up on it. Take a look at it.
You know, if you file bankruptcy, there was an artist who filed bankruptcy and had to have his they had an estate sale, and they went through his stuff and they they said, well, before you can file bankruptcy, we have to see what we can sell to bring your debt down. And they sold some original stuff, some of his that, and they went a little too far. They actually dug back into something they weren't supposed to sell.
Oh,
and
wow.
So some of his original stuff got sold off. And years later, he's at a show, and people came, and I forget his name, but people come up to him and they, can you sign this? And he's like, this is my personal collection. He said, and it broke his heart because
I can imagine.
he had it was not his anymore. It was, even though it was supposed to be, it broke his heart. So, it is hard to sign. And I think I'd probably spit on it before I sign it. I'd tear it up. I'd probably O.J. Simpson try to steal it back.
And get in your Ford Bronco and drive 5 miles an hour.
Isn't that what the Frazetta kids tried to do? They tried to break into the museum and steal the
drive right into it. I think
something.
Yeah, I gave somebody some of my artwork a while back, and it's on eBay now.
Oh, so there you go.
Wow.
So I gave it them, and they put it on eBay. Great. Huh?
Well, okay. I had to make some money.
That's always got to be a great feeling. Yeah.
I had to make some money. Okay, don't you forget.
That sarcastically.
No, Will Eisner told us a story in class about the moment he stopped doing artwork at conventions because of that. Yeah.
We have a football manager over here called Jose Mourinho. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's a Portuguese guy. He's a manager, and he used to manage Chelsea. I don't know if you've heard of Chelsea Football Club. They used to manage one of the top teams. He used to manage them, and they won the championship. But because the championship is sponsored by, I don't remember, it was a different sponsor to his personal, identity. When he got his medal, when he was given his medal, when the team had won, they get a medal. He got it like an Olympic thing around the neck, and they have a big ceremony and all this. He took it off and he threw it in the crowd because he can't push that brand, and he threw it in the crowd. And I think it was less than an hour and a half later, it was on eBay for 20,000 quid.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. Yeah,
that's what it is. It's like whoever the person was in the crowd who got the medal must have looked at it and thought, wow, well, I can't eat this, so I'll put it on eBay. I don't know whether he got the money or not.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, it's kind of it's weird. It's like
that's why people like Stan Lee and all the big people charge for their signatures.
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly.
They know it's going to go on eBay.
Right. Well, Rob Liefeld, he charges I think he charges $1 for signatures until you give him the first Deadpool, and then he charges you $70 for it because he knows if you're bringing him that, you're putting it on eBay.
Yeah.
Well, and I've talked to more than one artist at a show who have they used to do art at shows until there's that one guy who pleads with them, please, I want your art, and they do an original drawing.
That's how,
and then they go, wow, this will be worth so much if you die in a car crash on your way home.
That's classy. Yeah.
Real classy.
Bring the class, folks.
Loves to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Unlike, and then it's like, if you're feeling really, in the mood, you can turn back. It's like, oh, unlike you, who'll die in a car crash and no one will give a shit. So,
right. And that art I just gave you will be part of the Tinder as your body burns.
Yeah. So when the car's upside down and on fire, the person's going in to pull them out, and they see the artwork on the back seat and take that instead of the guy.
Right? Yeah. But for some reason, I'm the asshole when I say that.
Once again, welcome everybody to the 4th of April edition of Sunday Funnies, where we put the fun back in funny books.
It's Easter.
Yeah.
This will be worth a lot of money when you die. Yeah. We're running the opening, then we'll come back.
I think I lasted 5 minutes, and I'm going to end up in the timeout chair again.
Again?
Still.
Hang on, folks. Here we go. we're back. Hello, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. This is the Sunday Funnies for the 4th of April, 2021. And my name is Randy Zimmerman. I'm a longtime alternative and independent comic creator, producer, publisher. I'm currently working on bringing back Arrow Comics, again, with a regular line of direct market books. And we also have our first title. It's being crowdfunded right now over on Indiegogo called Indie Volt Revolt. If you get a chance, go over there and take a look at it. It's a sequential art collection with contributions by just about everybody here on the panel, except for Brian there. But maybe we'll get a story of his in there before the end of the campaign. So
come on, Brian.
He's doing this. He's doing this. Yeah.
Come on.
And we've got
now. Operators are standing by.
Operators are standing by. 6 more backers adds 10 more pages to that book. So it's a HeroBot story that I haven't written yet. So it'll be there though. So take a look at that over on Indiegogo, Indie Volt Revolt. Also with me today is Varian the Kid Grant. Varian, how are you? Not there.
Hello, I'm here.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, I'm here. Hello, I'm Varian Grant. Yeah, I'm Varian Grant, founder of Indie Volt Media LLC. I am an extraordinary person with a blessed heart, and I'm here this morning.
It's that heart with an H, right?
Yeah.
Thought I heard something else. All right.
No.
And everybody, we should warn you up front. We are TVMA DLSV, where the V stands for Varian, even on Easter.
Wow.
We'll be saying words that your children might not want to hear. So, or you might not want your children to hear.
Well, you guys should be in church anyway, so you should be watching us right now.
They've probably already heard it on HBO. So
some of them may have heard it in church, depending on you sit next to it.
That's true. Depending upon the church of your choice, yes. Also co-hosting with me today is Daphne Lage. Daphne.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. Hello, my name is Daphne Lage, and I am a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York, which should explain a lot. I have been self-publishing comics since 1992, and I am known for the funny animal fantasy Tall Tales, which the Kickstarter for the first trade paperback starting from issue 1 back in 1992. This is it. This is where you hop on the train. Tomorrow at noon, Kickstarter. So I am also known for my medieval fantasy drama Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, also coming to Kickstarter in May though, but Tall Tales is more important right now, so keep an eye out for that. You can read both my comics at talltalesonline.com. It's TAILS, and egoworks.com, EGOWORKS.com, and watch my videos on how I make these comics on YouTube at Daphne Lage, LAGE Art.
Cool. Also, we've got a couple of special guests in the house so far. We'll see who else joins us. I put out a lot of links this morning. So Scott Rosema promised he'd be here. So apparently he didn't set his alarm. But
can you guys work alarms? It's a lot of that going on in America.
Sometimes we're artists. It's Well, sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Yeah, it's like it only really works if you hit the snooze button 37 times.
Yeah. You use it or you lose it. So you may need that snooze one day.
Special guesting with us today is Brian K. Morris. Brian, introduce yourself to the radio audience.
Happily. Thank you for having me here. I always have a blast when I'm here. I am an author of books available on Amazon. I am part of an award-winning book. We got the Pulp Factory Award for Best Anthology and Best Cover on this one. Yay! I finally have a legit award rather than that BS one for not killing a man. And I'm also, I write comics every now and then, and I'm also a broadcaster. I have a morning show, never mind the Furthermore, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays at 10 a.m. and they're Clever Title Pending. Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Thursdays, a brand new show, Comic Book Spectrum, that we're in the 7th issue already. Good God, who thought we'd ask this long?
Yeah.
We're doing issues. Every one of us have issues on that.
I believe it. Every one of you have issues.
Me in particular. So anyway, that's what I do. And I also have a YouTube channel where you can find all this wonderfulness I'm doing. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Happy to have you, Brian, anytime. Also with us today is Mr. Glenn Fleming. Glenn, introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Glenn Fleming. I'm an English writer, artist, graphic designer and publisher. I've written and published books on many different subjects, JFK assassination, science fiction books, children's books. I wrote a book about my dad's experiences on D-Day as a paratrooper. I interviewed several men who walked on the moon and wrote a book about the astronauts who didn't go to the moon for various reasons. And many other things as well. I write about my travels around the world. I've written or compiled a book about Jack Kirby called Variations on a Theme, which features articles about Jack by other people and several by me. I currently publish Comics Unlimited, a 100-page bi-monthly magazine about comics. And I'm just putting the finishing touches to a final cut of a Jack Kirby DVD I released a few years ago, and that'll be available soon. Cool. And I just read and love comics and artwork, and thanks for having me on the show.
And that's in the middle. That's all in the middle of climbing the Himalayas and things.
Painting mustaches on the statues on Easter Island.
Yeah. Oh no, you don't do that. I have great respect for those guys. You're not allowed on the Yahoo, the platforms, so it would have been really easy to climb up and touch them, but no.
Yeah, no. I could imagine. Yeah,
I touched a few others that weren't on platforms, so my DNA is on Easter Island. Right. But you don't climb. You get fined as well.
I bet.
Yeah, you just respect it. Forget fines and stuff like that. You just respect it and don't go up there.
Yeah, but so my DNA's on the Easter Island probably sounded better in your head than when you said it, right? Sorry, Glenn, go ahead.
From the desk of a small press publisher, Joe says, morning all. Time to talk about comics as I finish inking one. Professor Lutkin says, I finally got here early on a Sunday, LOL, and that's probably because it's Easter. Marvi says, happy Easter, everyone. I'll catch you later. Family time, have fun. Thanks, Marvi. Always good to hear from you. Empyrean Vol said, I waited all week for this.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Apologies, Empyrean. There's no Google Doodle for Easter. They don't like chocolate rabbits in the communist utopias or something. Yeah, pre-golf entertainment, says Pops. Hello, Pops. Glad to have you aboard. Dog-eared dogs. Yeah. Again, Pops says, I score a lot of books from a local bookstore. They give away the stuff they can't sell due to condition. But they are in better condition than mine.
Yeah. That's always the funniest to realize. Like, you consider this bad condition? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I got a coverless Marvel family last year from my local vendor, and I'm like, another Christmas day for me. I was feeling.
I'll bet. Yeah.
Feels great.
Garrett, thanks for listening. Hello, everyone. Happy Easter if you celebrate it. If not, Merry Sunday.
Hello. Same
to you, sir. The direct edition of Spawn #1 slabbed is worth over $100. I don't like slabs. A 9.9 is or 9.8 is a 9.8, whether you wrap it in plastic or not. LOL. And no two graders see the same flaws to the same degree. That's
right. Yeah.
It's always subjective. There's a great article floating around the net with somebody who had a copy of Boys Comics, and they kept getting it slabbed over and over again. They'd have it slabbed, and they'd clean it up, have it re-slabbed, and clean it up, and it kept climbing. It went from like a 3.0 up to an 8 something. By the time they were done, went through about 4 different slabbings.
Wow!
But they showed, it's really subjective when you get into grading.
Yeah, I'd just rather read it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Bob says not a fan of grading. Yep. Joe says my Wonder Woman #9 from the 1940s. Wow. So I didn't want to mess it up further.
I mean, unless there comes a point where it's like you really do need to protect it.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, like I said, Spawn #1, really.
Is it good? I've never read it.
You're not supposed to read these things.
Get your eye scratches on them and everything. It takes that value.
Yeah, Empyrean says international forging, Inspector Clouseau level crime.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I only slab items that need to be preserved, or if I have multiples where I had a reader copy on hand. Yeah. But there's so many reprints out there anymore. Not that they're doing it lately, but you have to dig deep for them. But they are out there. You can get, you can get just about everything reprinted anymore, unless it's way back in the golden age and they don't have proper copies of it. So, and even then, those archive books from DC, you really have to be careful. So some of those I found to be traced pretty badly.
That's crazy.
It's true.
I didn't even know they did that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they paid whoever they could find to go through and run off of Xeroxes, apparently, and then go through and recolor. But some of them are pretty messy.
Yeah.
I picked up a copy. I'm hoping one of these days I'm going to actually run across an early version or an early copy of Leading Comics that I can sit there and compare to my Seven Soldiers of Victory's archives, because I opened it up and I was so looking forward to reading those books, because I've never read a Golden Age Seven Soldiers of Victory story, and I'm like, oh, this art's horrible. What the heck are the guys? Is this really the level of artwork that they printed, or is this the guy who was hired to trace the stuff? There's one or two that you see that style in, but a lot of the other stuff, it looks like, you know, you can look at a tracing sometimes and see it's like totally soulless. There's no personality in it. It's just cold. And I had that impression through 3/4 of that book. And I'm like, oh, you know, I'm really glad I caught it on sale at the show instead of paying a straight up price for it.
Some of the Batman archives too, the earlier ones, I got those and they look like somebody had traced it with a ballpoint pen.
Oh boy.
It was horrible. This is before they started doing the Theakston process and everything, which that too would break your heart, because it means you have to destroy 2 copies of the comic to do it.
Wow.
You go through and chemically treat it and drain it of the color. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you still have to have somebody go back and touch up the black spots.
Wow.
Too, so.
That's,
there's some courses online about learning how to press them.
Well, it's before we had, processes like computers now where you can drop out a color.
Where you can, where you can buy scanners like the one Variant has.
There we go.
and you would think DC would have, or at least have archives or microfiche of all of that material.
Anti-curl technology.
They have a lot of tutorials I see popping up right now, like how to clean your comics.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, I'm not sure my hand is still enough. Randy, this is about I guess it's about comics creating.
Are we changing subjects again?
No. I just figured you guys would want to talk about it because it was sent with the hashtag Sunday Funnies, not the hashtag, but the subject Sunday Funnies.
Okay.
Well, we love you out there for listening. Thank you. No matter what you said, he's sitting there all stewing. It's a triggering email, isn't it?
It's from no.
It's Variant's favorites.
It's from Brian again.
It's from Melvin.
Melvin.
Yeah.
Melvin of the Apes. Melvin.
Melvin says, I've been an insurance broker for over 19 years. My son, who is now 22 years old, has decided to make comics his profession. Mm-hmm. And I was alarmed to discover that due to the work for hire nature of your industry, there's almost no insurance coverage for artists. What with all the back problems, carpal tunnel, and more that results from your work, something ought to be done. Mm-hmm. With the firm I work for, I'm putting together a creators entertainers package for both health and life that will be affordable for artists, writers, and more working in the comics industry. I hope it helps, and I would love to come on either of your shows to discuss it and hear about your needs, either on Indie Vote Livewire, and here's where it gets tight, or with the older talents on your Sunday Funnies programming. I'm out.
All the old.
Are you rubbing something in there, Darren?
I'm out. I can't be here. I'm young. I'm beautiful. I don't know about the rest of you.
Don't worry, Variant. It's age before beauty.
I'm out.
You mean shows like?
Never mind. Yes.
We're renaming this show Geeks and Geezers.
Geeks and Geezers.
I guess that makes me done because I think I'm the oldest one here. So
let's not start comparing ages. Let's not.
Yeah, please.
I need to talk to my agent.
But yeah, that's something that you'll want to cover on the live wire.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Like to have like a very a specific insurance for us old artists, decrepit.
That's also something he might want to talk to the Hero Initiative about. as well.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's really a larger. I mean, short of a larger thing, that's probably going to be the next best thing is to have something that specific.
But that attitude has been in mainstream comics ever since they started, though. They always looked at these guys doing the artwork as just secondary cogs and work for hire.
Yeah, exactly.
All of that. So it's just the way the mainstream works.
Yeah, and it didn't help that for the longest time, the people in the industry, the people doing the work, felt that they were the secondary. They were all trying to get writers are trying to get into advertising, so were the artists, or into screenplays or novels, what have you. In fact, any creative field has its own inherent physical and mental dangers. Acting, illustrate, fine art, and all of them are routinely victimized on a almost formulaic level. Writers, artists and writers in comics really haven't, unless you're like a name, haven't really had like a pay raise in how many decades?
Yes,
allow for inflation.
Just think how the publisher's mental health would kick in if the artist didn't produce any artwork or writers or any if the musician got pissed off with somebody and didn't do any more work, then the publisher would be really upset, wouldn't
they? Yeah.
Well, I mean, usually what they pull is it's like, well, I can pick out anybody to replace you. That's the whole cog mentality of it. So it's like, actually, they really don't get upset. They're more inconvenienced. It's like, oh, sorry, you have rheumatoid arthritis developing in your hands. I'll just get this 21-year-old from DeviantArt to replace you.
And Melvin left his information, so Melvin, I'll contact you, bring you on Indie Vote Live.
I think that's a good.
That's a good idea.
But I thought about that, like, man, that would help some art, especially some of like you think about the guys that putting together some of the books, that you guys talk about a lot. Had they had adequate health insurance, who knows? They could have been drawing for longer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's really why working spouses come in so handy.
Well, it's the dirty little secret, that it's like that. A lot of us are even able to do our work because we have people in our periphery who are supporting us in ways that we couldn't do it on our own.
Yeah, that's right. I think Travis is rubbing something in there.
Yes,
I think so.
Maybe but health-wise, he
I understand what he means.
Do I need to audition for various spots now? Let me go. Grant says,
"Morning, Grant."
Good morning.
Morning, Grant.
Grant.
I mean, there was one. Go ahead.
Pop says, "This is the coolest thing I've heard in a long time. Thank you for whoever you are for thinking about my friends."
Yeah. I mean, because like there was a Florida Comic-Con that we were at, where the entirety of the row that we were in were all guys who were selling like their artwork, all because all their spouses worked at Disney, but like at corporate level, And it was just like kind of weird because like, it's like they all had the same story. It's like the wife would go, it's like, look, if you want to do this, you have to make money because I'm not supporting a hobby. It was kind of a little hardcore.
Good for them.
And Travis said that's why CrossGen was formed and built to help health and life insurance.
And if it
to an extent, yes.
Yeah, to an extent, yeah. I mean, because I know that was the main reason why George Perez went exclusive with them because he did offer health insurance.
Yeah.
And
there was a while there that Marvel and DC had exclusive artists where they were covering their health insurance while they were working for it.
Yeah,
but not anymore.
Well, anyway, but then again, that's also why maybe health insurance shouldn't be tied to employment. But that's a whole other conversation.
That is, yes, especially here where Glenn is from. He's got health coverage pretty well taken care of, right?
Yeah, we have the National Health Service, which is pretty good because
we just have bankruptcy here.
Right? Yeah,
What happens is that you pay your taxes, hopefully, and a portion of that is taken out and put into the National Health Service. So basically, if I work for 40 years and don't use I'm fortunate enough and I don't have any problems, operations or whatever, and somebody who's 12 needs an operation, well, my money will pay for that, so to speak. And so I think it's a great system. I think the American way is awful, that you suddenly get landed with a $50,000 bill for some life-saving procedure. You wouldn't do that here. You would just be taken in. You would just be taken in, and they might not do it, but they do it and whatever, and then you don't get a bill or anything, but you pay your insurance, national insurance through that.
Yeah, and a lot of times here in the States, the battle with the health insurance company and the billing department is twice as taxing as just trying to get healthier. They're trying to get better from your ailment.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like a twofold problem.
You don't get refused though, do you? I mean, if you had an accident now, you don't
only in emergencies. They're not allowed to refuse you in an emergency, but what they do is they stabilize you.
And around here, it's only certain hospitals. There are certain hospitals that can turn you away. Yeah.
So if you were painting the house and you fell off the ladder and broke your arm, and it's not a life-threatening injury, but you've broken your arm, what happens then?
You can go in and get your arm set,
right,
and probably get a temporary cast for it. But any further procedures, like if you needed a pin or something, chances are you either get a second mortgage on your house, or you just learn to live. Learn to do everything with the other hand.
Yeah, depending upon your health insurance coverage. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of it's all good luck.
So is that left up to you to take that up, or does your employer help you with that, or do you have to?
It actually depends on the insurance. I mean, it's like some insurance they'll cover the weirdest things, but then it's like they won't cover like regular stuff. It depends on the insurance company and what kind of contract they have with the company.
And heaven forbid your operation or procedure be any more recent than 10 years, or else the insurance company will fight you for you to have it done.
Right. And that's not even talking about pre-existing conditions where everywhere else in the world it's called you're just sick.
Yeah. And also we have like separate insurances here for like falling off a ladder and breaking your arm, or I have a fever, versus like I'm going to be in the hospital for 6 months.
Yeah, they have.
I would have thought that. Sorry.
They try to sell cancer insurance here.
Yeah.
Insurance, especially for if you get cancer.
See, I would have thought that a fair way to do it would be to say get an insurance policy for, let's say, for argument's sake, $1 million that would cover anything that was wrong with you.
Here in the States, fair medical coverage is an oxymoron.
Well, what are you, some kind of commie?
Yeah, really.
No, I mean,
we have an open system here.
Your comrades, Commissar. I'm telling you.
No. I established this last week. I'm a Nazi because I read Mein Kampf.
Oh, well, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, then I'm one too. Cool. I read it when I was 12. That was interesting. God, I'm learning so much about myself on this show.
The true tragedy is that if we were to take a very small percentage, and I think the last time I read about it, it was under 10% of our defense budget, we could apply national health coverage for everybody here in the States.
Right.
And it's not like we don't overpower everybody at least 10 to 20 times over.
Right.
As far as our armament goes and supplies everybody else, we were to take a small sliver of that budget and actually apply it to a national health service.
See, everybody could be covered. I'm not religious or anything like that, but I have a problem with this charging thing. If you've got a gift to I don't know, change somebody's heart, and you want whatever you want, $300,000, I think God's going to have something to say with that later, isn't he?
You would think so, yeah.
Unlike the rest of you commies, I'm perfectly happy making sure my military is stacked full of the newest armaments and weapons.
Oh no, I'm not against that at all either, because there has to be a level of security. It's just that there's a severe level of redundancy, and there is such a thing as overkill.
How many times
can you destroy the world?
Well, here, bringing this back to insurance, though.
We actually should bring it back to comics.
Right.
Welcome to the comic book show.
So it's like the question that we would have to bring up to the person who's I forgot his name, who's Melvin. Is the fact is like whether this insurance consider us high risk for the type of injuries that we get, repetitive motion injuries, back injuries, arthritis, that, I mean, there's certain things that we all seem to get eventually. So, it's like, would we be considered high risk because of that?
And if he takes exposure bucks, to pay it.
Oh, right, yeah.
Well, the way I see it is that we all do something, don't we? We all do something. So
is our can we pay our copay and exposure?
There we go. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, great. We've been joined by Billie Eilish.
Right. Hello.
Been joined by the indie princess.
Greetings.
How are you?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. So how's your Indiegogo doing? How you feeling? How you feeling about it?
Don't go there.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. It's crowdfunding.
She has a lot of anxiety as it is.
Yeah.
Put more pressure on it. How come you're not at 5,000 yet?
Just want to know how you're handling it. It's okay. You have 60 days.
Deep breaths.
Deep breath this morning.
Good. Okay.
But I do have 2 shows lined up for today.
There you go.
Cool.
There you go. That's in the end. That's all you can do is just push forward.
Yep. Keep promoting.
Right, and that was the thing too. Does the insurance cover mental health?
If so, none of us could get a policy.
Oh. Pop Culture Avenger. Good morning. Happy Easter
morning.
all. Good morning, Pop Culture Avenger.
Would the insurance cover therapy for artists?
There ain't enough money in the world, I'm telling
you.
Yeah.
I need help. I do have a question for you guys. This is my personal question. Randy will be able to answer this pretty quick because maybe not. Randy, it has to be, now here's the parameters, guys. It has to be a book you own.
Okay.
You're going to be trapped on a desert island for 30 days. You get to take one book that you own.
Ooh.
What is
it? Just one?
Just one.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming like trades and stuff count. So.
Okay, yeah, that counts. That counts.
Wow.
Yeah, because I'd go through and find the largest book I hadn't read yet.
Wow.
When you say a book, do you mean a comic book or a
comic book? Yeah, it has to be sequential art.
Well, that's easy for me.
I have a lot of those here. A lot of large books I haven't read yet. So,
Man.
But if it was only one, that would be a difficult choice.
Yeah.
Really easy.
If there was, wow. Well, who wants to go first? Because I'm still.
Mine would probably be I've got 2 monster omnibuses I'm slowly wading through that are all Jack Kirby material from right around the time he started Fantastic Four. Yeah. So I would probably end up taking one of those and then read it in a day.
I have two.
Don't we all? I can only take one.
I can only take one. Okay, if I had to take one, it would probably be just barely edging out my Thunder Agents archive #1 would be. I'm thinking because we were talking about that earlier. Yeah. But I think it would probably be my copy of The Great Comic Book Heroes by Jules Feiffer. That was that came out around 1965 or so. I actually saved up my own money to get it special ordered for my local bookmonger. This is way before comic shops, of course. And it was the first time I'd ever read comics from my parents' youth. Yeah. And it had great reprints, beautifully rendered by, it's like early Submariner, Human Origin, not the origin, but an early Human story. Yep. Superman, Batman, one page of Captain Marvel. And that was my first.
Oh, no. That was just a panel, if I remember. Was it a page?
It was just one page. It was just one solid page.
His origin.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
And also my first contact with the Spirit.
Yes.
Plus all sorts of beautiful background because Jules Feiffer had been a writer for Will Eisner back in the day.
Yeah.
That would probably be
the Spirit in India story.
Yes, that's the one. Yes. And I would probably take that one not just for the memories, but just for the fact that there are so many beautiful, finely rendered stories in there in a slightly larger format that if I should lose my glasses, I could still read it.
Okay. Yeah, really.
That's important at my age.
Yeah. We've all seen that Burgess Meredith episode of Twilight Zone.
By the way, yes, would the insurance cover vision and
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like again. It's like
How many of us are wearing some sort of eyewear or contact lenses?
I have 3. Right, I have contacts and 3 different glasses I have to wear.
There you go.
You know, depending on what I'm doing. I have a specific one for the computer. I have a specific one that I have to use on the drawing board, and I have like my general one. And it's
I get
it's just shuffling glasses every day.
It only gets crazier when you get older. So.
Ha.
Welcome to the Feel Good Show of the Year.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what
all I have to look forward to. Children.
Glenn, what are you taking?
This is really easy. This is the easiest question I've ever had in my life.
Excuse us.
It's well documented, and I'm sure you probably know. Fantastic Four number 51. This Man, This Monster.
Good choice.
That is for me, that is the greatest comic book story ever written, ever produced. The artwork is sublime. You know, it's Kirby and Sinnott. The lettering, I think it's Artie Simek or Sam Rosen, one of the two. And obviously Stan's words are there. And it's the most amazing story for me because it's so simple. And it comes right after Galactus. And there's the issue before the Black Panther. 2 mega story arcs. It's a single issue, self-contained story. And it's the most beautiful thing you've ever read in a comic book. That's my opinion.
And that would sustain you for 30 days.
It would because I have that and I look at it now and I just look at it. I don't need to read it now. I know it off by heart. I just look at it. And I actually wrote a quick plug here. I wrote an article about it in Comics Unlimited. But it's just the most beautiful thing. But there's so many things that make it so. And one of them, like I said, is the fact that it came right after Galactus. I mean, how good is Galactus and the Surfer, you know? And just before the Black Panther, and how good is the Black Panther as a character, you know? And this is a single issue, and it's just a little pause. But this little pause takes Reed into the twilight, into the negative zone. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. And I wish they'd make a film of that, or something along those lines with that, and just use Jack's. I've said this before too. I'm getting boring, but I don't care. Just use Jack's artwork as storyboards. Use Stan's moronic dialogue, which is beautiful when you read it, and from back in the time, it's cheesy, but it's brilliant. It's just brilliant, and just use those designs and the like I say, the storyboards from Jack's art, and just film that, and it would be wonderful. Yeah, that's my opinion of that. I could look at that every day.
I feel exactly the same way about all of the Spirit material, especially the work that Eisner did after he came back from the war.
Yeah. Daphne, what'd you bring? What are you bringing?
What am I bringing? Wow, it's a toss up between 2 books, and it depends on which one's closest to me when I get snatched up to the island. So the first one would be the ElfQuest omnibus from Dark Horse, the first volume. Because it's like that book is like, you know, the DNA of that book is in all my work, you know, both literally and figuratively, you know. The second book, depending if I was more closer to JD's collection than mine, would be the Meta Barons, the first omnibus of Meta Barons. I just absolutely adore that book. For those who aren't familiar, Meta Barons is what came out after Jodorowsky came up with his whole Dune concept on making a movie about Dune. There's a great documentary about that. It's literally called Jodorowsky's Dune. Yeah. And so because that movie never got made, they did Meta Barons instead. So every crazy go nut thing that they were trying to do in Dune is in Meta Barons. And then combined with this absolutely gorgeous artwork and what I suspect is really over translated dialogue, because I think it's like originally from either the Spanish or the French. And it's there's something like really weird about the dialogue, but I just like adore it because it's like they're trying to speak normally, but it doesn't come off like that. It's just like really, really affected. So it's like, I don't know if that's deliberate or, like I said, or a translation issue, but I mean, this book is always, always on my mind. So yeah, so it would depend on whose collection I was closest to.
For me,
It's probably gonna be one of the. I want to say Watchmen, but it probably wouldn't be because I'll get there too quick. So it's probably gonna be one of the Walking Dead compendiums. You know, the whole thing. Probably the fourth one because that sucker is huge. I get a feel it's the biggest one, and I feel they just want to finish it. It's like we're gonna just finish this and put this out. So it's like and it's huge. So yeah, I'd probably bring that. Lola, what do you think?
I don't know. I guess I'll take Watchmen from you.
Take Watchmen from me. Okay.
Yeah, I'll take Watchmen from you.
Okay. Yeah. You can take Watchmen. We have to be on separate islands though.
Right. Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Yeah, I can't be on an island for 30 days.
Well, that's not fair.
I can listen. I can barely share a bed with you for 9 hours. An island, 30 days.
Oh.
Not happening. Hold on, guys. I'll be right back. I smell gas. I'll be right back.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be right back.
For a shoe.
Yeah. All right.
Empyrean says, okay, there's a desert island book I'd take. Okay. Giant DC omnibus, but hollowed out, filled with radio, survival gear, signal gun, pestle, grappling hook, MREs, and an inflatable raft. Yeah.
What fun would that be?
Exactly.
Pop says, I would take Indie Volt Revolt and spend the next 29 days designing a golf course.
There you go.
Fashioning stick clubs and kicking ass.
There you go. So you see, he would be reading comics and building a resort.
There we go.
I
Marlon
would read it one day. Yeah. Brian going around saying it's not fair after glasses break.
Yeah.
Joe, get out of my brain.
Yeah, no, for real. That was a terrifying. I mean, some people don't get the Twilight Zone, but that hit me. You know.
Yeah. That was even before I wore glasses.
Man. Yeah,
I was always an Outer Limits fan rather than a Twilight Zone fan.
You know,
not too much ahead of it, you know. But I was always at Outer Limits.
It's like just
the Outer Limits were fun, but the Twilight Zones always come off to me as more moralistic. The O. Henry twists on the stories. Rod Serling's writing on that was just amazing, but. Outer Limits has a couple of phenomenal episodes. The one that Ellison wrote, and there's a couple of just really key phenomenal episodes. Yeah.
And the Six Finger. I'm always those
Demon
two
with the glass hand.
Demon with the Glass Hand. Yeah.
Those two series, I'm always amazed when I watch them now of how many stars are in them. Like Ilya Kuryak, was it David McCallum's in one, and Robert Culp, and Leonard Nimoy and Shatner and all these people. There's all these stars that come that only 4 or 5 years later with household names, and they're all in these programs.
Yeah, a lot of times they were just studio actors rotating through the system too. So.
Right, and that's like now we watch them and we're like, wait.
Exactly.
That's the fun of those old episodes. You know, it's like there's an episode of Twilight Zone with Donna Douglas from the Beverly Hillbillies.
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't there an episode of Twilight Zone with both Shatner and Nimoy in, or is that the Outer Limits one? There's a
Man from U.N.C.L.E. with that. There's a Man from U.N.C.L.E. with both of them.
I don't remember both of them being on a Twilight Zone or an Outer Limits.
Not on the same episode,
together. Yeah.
Well, usually all the Star Trek cameos at the same time happened on either Boston Legal or Gargoyles.
Yeah, that's true. Dead air.
Dead air. Yes.
Yeah.
Something I wanted to ask you. I was going to ask you this earlier on until we got talking about insurance and things like that.
Yeah.
From my point of view, I wanted to ask you, as Americans, what English comics or British comics you got in your youth. Did you get all the Stingray things and Thunderbirds and stuff like that, or Beano, Dennis the Menace, all that, or did you not see any of that stuff?
No, I've seen your Dennis the Menace. That's not Dennis the Menace, and I've seen your Beano. I may change the name. No, I think I did. No, I did read Dennis the Menace. It was pretty funny, but I would.
Dennis the Menace is British?
Yeah.
No, they have one.
There's another one.
That's British.
It's the Earth 2 version.
Oh, okay.
Yours is the imposter.
Earth E, Earth
Yeah,
GB.
Earthy, yeah.
Because we had the Avengers before you as well, but
Yes, you
Oh,
did.
that's true. You did.
Far superior. I mean, I'd rather look at Dinah Rigg than Steve Rogers, wouldn't you?
It's a trick question. It's a trick question.
We're not here to judge.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Glenn. Russ isn't here to back you up, so you're outnumbered.
That's a surprise.
Well, for me, I stumbled across what was it? I don't want to say Aqualad. I think it was Aqua Boy. That was a Tezuka cartoon. Early on, kid who chewed gum and was able to breathe underwater for an hour. Speed Racer, Marine Boy. Speed Racer come in. Thunderbirds was a big influence on me as a kid because my brothers took to it like fish out of water and did design work and did their own handmade models of the ships and overran my sandbox and turned it into Tracy Island. But after that, once I ran across article in Fantastic Films magazine, which I still have because I was a Star Wars fanatic when it first came out, and I was picking up anything. There was no net back in '77, so you were digging any scrap of material, anything that you could buy about Star Wars, and all of these theories were rolling all over the place. And in the Fantastic Films magazine was an article on 2000 AD, and once I read that article, I said, I have to find that. Yep. That sounds so cool because it was a really good article because it didn't just focus on Judge Dredd, which is all that most Americans know of 2000 AD is just Dredd. It focused on the other series. And I'm like, wow, where have these been all my life? So I went through and dug up and became a 2000 AD fanatic for quite a while. Had a whole run at one point, ended up having to sell the majority of them in order to make bills at one point. And I'm still sick about that to this day. But I dig up all of the collections that they have done on. They've done the Judge Dredd case files and sets of Strontium Dog and Rogue Trooper and ABC Warriors and Flesh especially. I thought was awesome. That's a movie that Hollywood's missing out on right there. Just a fantastic. They'll end up screwing it up. But I'm still waiting for the ultimate Judge Dredd series, let alone a Rogue Trooper series or a Strontium Dog series, which I would just love to see. Love to see them go through and animate Esquera's material.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah. I could never work out how Arnie wasn't cast as Judge Dredd rather than Stallone.
Yeah. Well, Stallone, I guess, bought the rights and fought for it. And then took his helmet off.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm going to say he ruined the entire thing in the first 15 seconds when he took his helmet off because you never see. You don't know where he lives. You don't know what his name is. You don't know anything about him.
And the funny thing about it is that after going through JD's collection, like reading, there was this omnibus that came out, Forged Judge Dredd, and then realizing how the Stallone movie was actually closer in vibe to the comics than the new Dredd movie that came out, which was like really blew my mind.
It's like a give and take. Right. There are certain spurts of the Stallone movie that's dead on. Really good.
He kept his helmet on. That would have been it for me. Otherwise, I think that would have been a perfect Dredd movie.
It just shows you how insecure he must be because, like, we wouldn't see his name starring, and we wouldn't recognize who he was anyway.
Well, also that could have been a studio thing too. It's like because we're not paying all this money unless we see your face.
Well, from what I understand, it was mostly Stallone. But
then.
That could be urban legend. The Carl Urban movie, there are little flashes and atmosphere and feel. The problem is that they decided to do their version of Raid.
Right.
And anybody who had seen Raid, the Chinese film, and saw the Judge Dredd movie were like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me!" Because here's Judge Dredd, and all you're doing is Raid. That was a shame. It was kind of a waste of time.
The thing that those movies missed for me was the humor.
Yeah,
I think Judge Dredd is almost a comedy when you read it.
It is. Yeah, that's what surprised me.
I know it's very dark and it's a black comedy, a dark comedy, but I think the films missed that. Took it far too seriously.
Well, again, you've got that Hollywood worrying about the money flow too. How dare you try to make a social statement?
Yeah.
You know, because Judge Dredd is the ultimate social satire.
Yeah.
I don't think you can make a Judge Dredd. I don't think you can make that movie right now because there's so much things going on with the cops. But you know, especially here,
because that's also what Judge Dredd is like he's a criticism of that too. I mean, he's you know,
I would think that if you went to Judge Dredd's apartment, I'd be really disappointed if he didn't have Mein Kampf on the shelf.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
You know, he's a bit the fascist, isn't he? But it's I mean. Series.
But the thing is, we're I mean, it's like to clarify to everybody, we're not using the word fascist the way Twitter idiots use it. We're using the actual word. Yeah. Because the guy who created, I keep forgetting his name because I'm horrible at memorizing these things. He literally said that this was, I mean, he was raised, he was, you know, I mean, he lived under Franco in fascist Spain, you know, like my family. And that's what it was a reference to. He was, when he says something in Judge Dredd or Judge Dredd is fascist, he means it.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, this is, you know, a criticism of a fascist state. It's a parody, it's a satire of fashion, of actual fascism.
I think that's part of the genius in the early 2000 ADs in general, is that there was so much imagination flowing through those and so many statements. They were really using sequential art to a full potential because you had so many different stories and so many different, you know, viewpoints running through that.
Have you read
really an amazing work?
Have you read Charlie's War by
yeah, I have the Titans reprint of it. Yeah,
Pat Mills. That's very because he co-created Judge Dredd with the Square, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Pat Mills.
He's credited with it. Yeah.
Yeah, and he
I think he wrote the majority of the early episodes too.
Yeah, he developed the comic and everything because he created Britain's girls comics.
Okay.
You know, a lot of Misty and things like that, characters like that.
I watched a documentary on AD Comics. Was pretty interesting. Alonzo says it's it's a Marvel sweater. It's it was purchased for me. It's just I went to Target. I was like,
this
you
is
want this?
Free advert. Free advertising.
I'm just.
Are they sponsoring you? Why are you talking about them?
And it even has
Crayola shirt.
There you go. It even has the logo printed too high up under the chin.
Yeah. So you know, but
that should be 3 fingers off of the top of off of the collar. And it's
this way it shows up when he's on screen.
Yeah, that's true. It does.
They figured out streamers. They're like, we're gonna put it way up there. These guys are streaming. Lola has Marvel on her shirt too.
Hers is printed lower though. It's like 3 fingers. That's about right.
Yeah. She's got Jim's art on the back.
Yeah. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. He just never mind. I'm not gonna say that Sunday show.
I wanted to talk to you about the British comics because I've said this in various places and on podcasts and things that my influences were I didn't like the Beano and Topper and the Hotspur because they were too. They were.
I was going to say Beano over here is a gastric pill.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's
well,
true. Every time he says that, that's what I think.
It cuts the gas down in the stomach. Yeah.
Well, they had more cartoony stuff in, and I like the real drawings. Like I think I told you, Randy. You know, the Frank Bellamy stuff and when he drew Thunderbirds and all that, and Dan Dare and all that kind of stuff. He draws in that realistic style.
Early on, I got a hardbound volume of Trigon Empire. I stumbled across it at a bookstore, and I'm like, "What the heck is this?"
Don Lawrence.
That's what it is.
Don Lawrence. It's absolutely superb. That's
amazing work.
Yeah. There's such a big influence of those things in artists over here, but I do like that full painting artwork aspect. You know, because I think about traditional work and all that. But I just love the fact that they painted and. Ron Embleton and Mike Noble, these people who drew Stingray and Captain Scarlet and these things, all these Jerry Anderson series. They're just beautiful artwork. I saw some original Frank Bellamy artwork of a guy I know who runs a comic shop in Blackpool, a place about 50 miles from me. And he brought. I went to see him with some issues of this Crikey magazine I used to publish 10 years ago. And that was about British Comics, the magazine. And he said, "You want to see this?" And he went in the back and he brought back out a framed double-page spread, fully painted of Thunderbirds by Frank Bellamy. And I said, it was just the most beautiful thing. And this is from 1966, and it was all the pelican dyes all the color was still there. It was just a beautiful piece of artwork. And then he brought, and then the next time I went, he showed me some Ron Embleton Stingray artwork as well that he got. I said, "Where are you getting all this stuff from?" And he said, "Oh, I can't tell you that." I said, "Well, I want it." The Frank Bellamy stuff is just amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
I mean, it's like, I guess it's like, the type of influence. I mean, it's kind of like this was the artwork that showed us that cartooning could be something else.
Yeah.
It's like because it's like, if Beano is anything like, like a lot of children's comics here. And
Beano's like Peanuts kind of drawings, just
right. Yeah,
drawings.
exactly. It's like,
but Peanuts is good.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And
and it's
taking
like
care of that market.
You grow up, you grow up with that, and then you hit this artwork that makes you like going, "Wait a minute, you could do that."
Yeah. Well, that's what I felt when I found Jack Kirby. When my brother brought the Strange Tales home, and it was Kirby layouts, and then I've told you before there's an advert. There used to be an advert. I think it was on page 4 of every Marvel comic, and it got to the page 4, and there was the Fantastic. This was in Strange Tales. It was Fantastic Four, X-Men, Avengers, and I think a Marvel collector's items. And I said to my brother, because he was older than me, had the money. I said to him, "Are these on the rack?" And he said, "Yeah, some of them are." I said, "Well, can you get them?" And he brought them all. And that was it. I mean, Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko and these people, just absolutely incredible stuff. But the full colour stuff by Bellamy and the British artist is wonderful. I just wonder if are there any comics like that in America with full colour artwork, painted artwork like that? There must be some, surely.
Way back when you had, I want to say Jay Muth, Dan DeMatteis did Moonshadow. For Marvel, that was fully painted and beautiful, and something Marvel never reprints or touches anymore.
I mean, because the first book that really got me like that was the Starblaze editions of ElfQuest. It was the first time that I had seen a painted comic.
Yeah,
and it's like I had just recently discovered Rocket Raccoon too, so it's like I was getting like this crash course in what comics could possibly be.
Alternate comics.
Yeah, and then it's like, I guess like to go back to your question about British comics, it's like, then it's like around the same time, JD showed me the Judge Dredd Brian Boland series, the Judge Death cycle. And I was just like, to this day, Brian Boland is like, it's like he's watching Doom Patrol on TV, and all I can think about is the Brian Boland covers.
Those Titan reprint books went a long way to developing a lot of American appreciation for the British material, because that's how I got Charlie's War. That's how I got Garth. Jeff Hawke was actually running in my newspaper when I was a kid for a short period of time. I picked that up right off the bat because I knew what it was. But a lot of that material was stuff that I hadn't read, that I went back and dug up the original 2000s on later on. Yeah,
I think it was interesting when when it was like the Beatles invasion all over again, when all the British artists and writers went over to America in the 80s.
Yeah,
that there was very interesting. I don't know the story, so I won't say the story, but I know Cam Kennedy. You'll know Cam Kennedy, Randy. Who did Rogue Trooper and stuff before that in the little Commando comics. Have you seen those little digest-sized comics called Commando? Those Second World War stories. And Cam Kennedy's always been one of my favorite artists. And then when he went to America, he did, I can't remember which comic it was, but they put an inker on him, and it didn't work because he needs to do the full artwork.
Outlanders. I'm going to say something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. And then he moved up. I think it was with Marv Wolfman. I'm not sure the writer. And he did the Light and Darkness War.
Okay.
Is that Wolfman? I can't remember the guy's name.
I'm not positive. You're probably right.
But anyway, the artwork in there, he's fully painted.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's Cam Kennedy, and he's just, this Scottish guy who lives up in this island called Hoy, way past the top of Scotland. And the whole series, I think there's 12 episodes of that. I don't know. I think he did a second series, but the first series is all hand painted. It's all beautiful artwork, beautiful stuff. I just wondered why Americans publishers haven't gone that way.
Well, a lot of it is financial because they're looking for a widget guy who's going to work at about rock bottom price and not an artist.
Well, this takes us back to what we were talking about an hour ago, doesn't it?
They're looking more for technicians than they're looking for artwork. They used to do that. They used to have a lot of artistic choice. Like I said, back when Moonshadow was out in the 80s and 90s, and they were really stretching their wings artistically. Now they're so wrapped up in a bad message. And with bad writers and bad artists or whoever that they can find to work for rock bottom prices. There's so many classical artists out there that are still around that are desperately looking for work, but they don't want to afford their prices, or they think they're too high a cost, or they're too hard to deal with, or whatever.
It's the same thing that we see in publishing and movies, where it's like everything is now about a photoshopped cover when everything used to be painted and whatnot. Like Drew Struzan, he retired because he got fed up with Disney digitally altering his paintings.
Wow.
Yeah,
and I remember seeing Gene Colan's artwork first time in Daredevil back in about 66, I think 1967, and I love Gene Colan. I think he's like his artwork isn't like, but he's like Neil Adams. He's more of an illustrator than a comic book artist, in my opinion. But he's a very good comic book artist as well. But it's a different style. I love Gene Colan's work because it moves. It's like Steve Ditko, it moves. But they could never get a really good inker on him, I thought, until Klaus Janson. Because Klaus Janssen's line is very slick and moving like Gene's is. But what I was going to mention was that I think it was for Pacific, I'm not sure now. Didn't Gene Colan do Nathaniel Dusk that was painted on his pencils?
That was DC.
DC, right. Well, that's it. I bought that purposely just to see, because I always wanted to see Gene Colan's pencils. Frank Giacoia was on it, and Frank Giacoia is a great inker, but he's not good on Gene Colan, in my opinion. And he did a lot of Daredevil. And then it was just a joy for me to get those Nathaniel Dusk stories from Gene's pencils and sort of watercolored in. It's a fabulous series, that.
But again, that was part of the charm for the artists back then. You had people working in their own set styles that were just amazing and very, very individual looking. Jim Aparo was kicking out an issue of Brave and the Bold every month, and then doing other work on the, besides that. You had Frank Robbins especially come in and was so stylistic that was crazy. And of course, Kirby and Ross Andrew. I always remember looking at his Spider-Man stuff and going, that it was unusual, but once you got used to it, it was just amazing. And nowadays you can crack open a book and 3/4 of it looks exactly the same to everything else. Nobody's showing off their own style. And the ones that do have their own individual style, I'm seeing a lot more crowdfunded books coming out with folks that have their own individual look, that are doing their own thing. There are painted crowdfunding books coming out now that are amazing, that hail back to the 80s and 90s era of when comics were looked at more as fine art instead of propaganda IP holders.
I just the other week I bought back in about 1989, I think it was Arkham Asylum. Is it Dave McKean? And I've only just read it. It's been on the shelf 30 years, and I thought, well, I better read this. And it's pretty good, but the artwork's really amazing. It's really strange artwork, but it fits the book perfectly with the madness of the story, with the Joker and all that.
Yeah, for me, Mike Mignola, I think that Mignola did an entire series of Fafford and Grey Mouser.
Yes, I have that. I have that. Oh, it is.
That work is amazing because it's so stripped down to just basic looks. That's one of the things I love about Aparo, and Alex Nino especially just boggles my mind because of the way they would work a brush in order to make a picture by using blobs. It's just phenomenal to me. And like I said, back then you had some real stylized artists going out there, and they were working for pennies a page, dollars, barely getting by, and yet they were still running their own style right through there. You could see the love in it.
I think one of the stories from the 60s is when Barry Windsor Smith went to see Stan Lee, didn't he? When he was 19 or something. He went to see him, and he told him to draw like Kirby.
Yes.
And he put out those horrible Daredevil and Avengers, I think, and X-Men. They were horrible. They were just horrible. But when he sort of I don't know what happened, but he sort of decided he was going to draw in his style. He did those Conan the Barbarians, which are great, and then later he's like he's like Gene Colan and Neil Adams. He's not a comic book artist really, because you've seen his paintings, haven't you? His Ophelia and all these kind of historical things and Shakespeare things. And he's just a wonderful illustrator. Wonderful. The color work is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I would put P. Craig Russell up in that category as well. Somebody who started out really being a technician and then just became an artist. The Killraven work that he did is I need to go back and reread that. Really bad to see if it's as good as I remember it, because I was a big fan of that when it was out.
I mean, this is what happens when conglomerates really start controlling media, and it's like everything now has to be ground down into a fine gray paste that you can consume without it even asking for the minimum of digestion from you.
Well, I don't know if it's even that, as much as the larger corporations have just given up on the print end of the deal. I was shocked when they announced Marvel was jumping over to Penguin, because that was a small hint to me, a small indication that there might be somebody up there that still cares about making money and doing a product and getting it out in front of people, because that's not what I've been seeing from the comic company for the last 10 years. Actually, longer than that, because I stopped reading them when Jemis came in, because I thought there was a lot of just really bad moves that he ended up making as far as the market went. These guys come into this business with an idea of what a comic book is from the outside, and it turns into a bad copy of a bad copy of a bad copy. And instead of somebody who grew up with comics, has a love and appreciation for the art form, that wants to come in and show you the power that this art form can have.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's a combination of things. They don't want to see something like Image happen again. They don't want to see superstar artists. So they don't want to see superstar anything. So there's this whole trend of making everything homogenous, so that it's like, okay, we can cater to the most people possible without putting in as much effort.
Do you think that some of those companies, in wrestling, they call it being buried, like WWE will go get a wrestler who's making big moves on the independent scene, bring them in, and then make that person lose to everybody. And I wonder if Marvel or DC, especially Marvel, would ever do that. Bring an independent guy in who's doing great, put him on a book that sucks.
There's a series on YouTube with the guy from The Walking Dead. And he was talking about his experience at working at Marvel. They brought him in because he, The Walking Dead. And he says it was like one of the worst experiences of his life, because that's exactly what they were trying to do to him.
That was Kirkman. They did the same thing to when Marvel got a hold of Van Sciver and pulled him over from DC. They treated him like crap until he went back.
Right, because the idea is like, it's like, so instead of like nurturing this talent as their own, the whole idea is to bury them.
On the other hand, too, we just saw that John Romita Jr. is coming back to Marvel. So there's a reason why he's coming back to Marvel, because what did he do over at DC?
They put him on Superman. Remember that?
Yeah, he did it. Superman.
Yeah, he did Superman, and that's the only thing I remember from over that.
He did one of those when. There was a series of comics that came out. The Terrifics was part of it, where the artist was supposed to be the driving force behind the story. And Romita did one about an assassin. Silencer. Yeah. That's it. Silencer.
But all of that entire run of books that they did were all derivatives from Marvel material. Oh, don't tell me the Terrifics would have remotely existed if the Fantastic Four hadn't been around and had shut down. That was somebody up there in editorial should have been ashamed of themselves for doing that.
To start with, buying them.
They were just horrible concepts. They're like, dudes, what are you doing? Do your own icons.
Empyrean Vol says Disney hired Harlan Ellison in the 70s for the same reason, but he got fired the same day.
Well, according to Ellison's own story, he was kind of he was telling a dirty story about Disney characters, and Disney was behind him.
He was like acting out the porno movie with Mickey Mouse.
Right, and Walt was like, "You're fired."
Oh boy.
yeah, it was something like really ridiculous, and Walt was not happy.
You don't upset the mouse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh man.
Marvi says one of my faves is Gene was one of my faves, and Ross Andrew. Nobody talks about Ross. No. There's an entire run of Wonder Woman comics that he did there before he took on Spider-Man that DC just, they just no, we'll never do. That's all just classic fantasy stuff back when they were trying to be lighthearted and whimsical.
Right. Also, I kind of wonder, like with a lot of the stuff that they're not, because it's like they have such a massive backlog, and the fact that they don't reprint regularly is kind of surprising. But I'm kind of wondering though if that has a lot to do with the fact that they're just like there's a certain mythology around their stuff they're trying to establish now. And kind of like if they reprint some of the older stuff, it kind of like conflicts with the marketing angle they're going at,
Well, for one, it'll outshine the majority of the stuff. They don't want a lot of people to see that they used to be able to tell a story in 8 pages and 20 pages and do it incredibly well. Those old Brave and the Bold books, for example, you'll see them. I just ran across again at Ollie's a hardback collection of Jim Aparo that I knew I already had the majority of those stories, but it was Jim Aparo all in one hardback volume, so I had to buy it anyway. But like I said back then, they just don't want people to know. You pick up the 100 pages from Walmart, and every last one of them's an embarrassment because all of the stories are continued. Everything looks exactly the same, and it's all patterned after the Scott Campbell and Michael Turner and all of that. But they've trimmed.
Hey now.
They've gone through and edited all of that material down and literally stripped a lot of the soul out of it by putting clothes on the girls or it's changing the costumes so that they're not quite they're more mom friendly, and it's just insulting when they can go back and dig up the old Golden Age stories and even of these oddball characters. One of the joys when I was a kid was buying those super spectaculars that were 100. I used to hunt those down because they would have oddball stories in them of characters that I wasn't familiar with. Never knew who Johnny Quick was until I picked up one of those stories, for example. And they're phenomenal artwork, tight story. Sure, it was old, might have been dated, but nowadays they have to be really careful because they're stepping across a lot of stereotypes that they don't want to put they don't remotely want to put into context. But there's still so much material out there, even avoiding those, that's really classic and incredibly readable that they don't want to. They don't.
Well, I mean, because what's honestly, it's like because it's like. Because sometimes it just feels like that Disney, especially, that they wouldn't mind if they just erased the concept of their material being linked to comic books altogether. Yeah. Like, the Marvel movies were always just movies. Like comics were comics. It's not. There's no comics here.
It's that comic book stigma that a lot of these execs that never grew up with comics. All the comic books, Whoa, we're making billions of dollars off of Iron Man. Well, that's cool.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's the part that counts. We don't need people to know it's a comic. Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Can I tell you my story about my dealings with Disney?
Oh, absolutely.
Brace yourself.
It's not what you think. I was down in Disney. I was down in Disney World in Florida, and I don't know whether you've been, but what they do is they don't allow the different characters to walk on certain streets of another series.
Yes.
Right, you know that, right?
It's deliberate. Well, the underground tunnels. Yeah.
That's right. Well, my daughter went down in those. That's another story. My daughter went through that. Anyway.
They're the utilidors. That's what they're called.
Right. And I was standing at this sort of dead end with this brick wall, eating a burger, a very expensive burger. Eat before you go. Eat before you go.
Yeah, no, for real. Yeah.
And it wasn't the best burger. Anyway, so I was eating this. In fact, it was bad. I was eating this burger, and I heard this noise behind me. And remember, I'm in like a closed area, 3 walls, right? There's nothing behind me. There's nothing. There's just a wall. and I heard this noise behind me, and I spun round, and I knocked Buzz Lightyear on his arse. He went flying back on his ass, and what they'd done, they'd come up then the door in the wall opened. You couldn't see it because it was like bricks, and the door in the wall opened, and Woody came out, and he looked down, and he could see he was going like, what the fuck, what? And Buzz Lightyear couldn't get up, and he was like this. So Woody comes over.
He's a turtle. He's a turtle.
And and helps him up, and they both just glared at me like, "Why did you do that?" Well, I didn't really do anything. I just spun. He startled me, and I spun around. But so my claim to fame with Disney is that I put Buzz Lightyear on his ass.
There you go.
I'm like, who? Glenn,
damn you, Glenn, you're evil.
It's the happiest place on earth. You're not supposed to go there and whoop ass.
Well, I guess this was. I mean, I don't know, like when this, because usually that's why like they have handlers that come out first to clear the way, so it's probably not the first time it's happened.
I'm sure.
Are you that kid from Toy Story? I want to break Andy's toys. I see.
Yeah, that's what happens when we let these people from overseas into our stuff. They destroy our way of life.
While he was rolling around, he should have said to infinity and to my ass.
It's like who I mean, wow, man, that's funny. I have it. My story is that only time I almost knocked someone on their ass, and I didn't. It was Stan Lee.
You almost killed Stan Lee.
And I'm surrounded by people.
I bet it was his idea.
Yeah, but Jack Kirby had to do it for him.
I had to use the bathroom very badly at Wizard World Chicago, and I had too many sodas, and I was moving, and I seen this cluster of folks, and I'm like, move out of my way, and I just darted through them, and I shoulder checked like bam, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, and as I turned around, I noticed it was Stan, and he looked at me and he smiled. He says, "How are you?" And I said, "Hi." And
no!
I instantly didn't have to pee anymore. I didn't.
You might have already done it.
Yeah, I went. Were wet, though.
Yeah, I went back to the table. I was blushing.
Walk of shame.
I was blushing, which is very hard, for me to do. But I'm blushing. I'm sitting there, and my wife is like, "What happened?" I'm like, "I just bumped into Stan Lee. Like literally bumped into him in this shoulder. I'll never wash his shoulder again." But
yeah. And he'll never submit any work to Marvel either.
It's just like I just shoulder checked Stan. But it was really cool to and he was really nice. He was like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And to the handlers, because I weaved inside of his handlers and out.
Right.
What if I'd have been an assassin?
He had his manager for that.
He was.
Quick about it.
Yeah. Like I'm the Jack Ruby of comics. I just walk in. I'm out of here.
And sent Buzz to infinity and beyond.
Yeah.
I went to a convention in Birmingham in the 80s, and there was a big tent, and it had all this original artwork, board and page after page, and boards are full of tons of stuff, absolutely tons of stuff. And I was looking at this artwork, and this kid came up to me. He was about 15, this kid, and it was obviously his dad who was running that particular table. And I don't know what the artwork was. I'd never seen it, but it was quite nice. And it was a big double page spread. It was massive, just it was huge. And I just thought, because I have a wicked sense of humor, I said to this kid, this kid said, "Oh, that's 25 quid, and this is 50 quid, and this is this, and this is this." And I said, "Tell me, do the artists know that this artwork's here?" And he said, "Oh yeah, it's all above board, and all the artists have donated their artwork and blah 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 blah." And I said, "Well, see this piece. This is mine. I did this." And I don't remember giving it you. Well, I've never seen, which wasn't true. It wasn't my artwork.
Oh, you were just.
I was
just taking the piss or something.
That's right, taking the piss, yeah. And I've never seen anybody move so fast And he shot this because this guy had this table. It was about 50 yards long. It was huge. And it had all the artwork in the world on it. This kid didn't touch the ground. And then his father started packing it all up. So I just walked out, you know. And I should have taken the artwork because nobody was going to argue.
Dear Lord, forgive me for the company I keep. These people are evil. Please save me.
But it also meant that you kind of pointed out something that you like, oh shit, we gotta go.
Holy crap.
Yeah. That's another thing I did at the same convention. When I was looking in another tent, Dave Gibbons was there, you know, the Watchmen artist. Dave Gibbons was there. I'm just wicked. And he just got an award at he'd been in one panel and he just got this award for best penciler or whatever it was. And he got this award in his hand and he was in one, and this is about an hour later, and he was in the tent and he had this award under his arm and he was just looking at this artwork. And I said, Dave, and he just looked around and I said, what are you doing here? They're looking for you. There's another award for you. Well, he's shut off.
Look at you being a troublemaker.
Damn.
Yeah.
Beating up Buzz Lightyear and horrifying one of our comic icons, Glenn.
Yeah.
Scaring bootleg art dealers. And
I can just see Gibbons walking up to the convention organizers. Got another award for me?
Yeah.
15 minutes later, I saw him come out of one panel area and then sort of half running into the next one, and I think he was still looking for his award.
Oh no! Look at you!
Gotta be around here somewhere.
And then later, when I did Crikey, he did a piece for me in it, and I met him, you know, a couple of times, and I can't tell him this story, so.
Now see, you're just chuffed to bits.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at me! Look at the terror I have created. Yeah,
see, this is why they cast a British guy to play Loki, because of that.
You hear that British accent, you just hear evil.
Because you get job as Glenn's mini-me or something, you know. So
you know, we used to do that at the plant. We used to tell people, new guys, especially around Thanksgiving, hey man, did you go get your turkey? And they say, what? And you tell them, go to the personnel office and get your turkey. They're giving away free turkeys to all the employees. And the new guy would always run up there for his turkey. I mean, it was like a 2-mile walk. And he would run up there for his turkey. See him come back really upset. Good times.
Especially when those plants are gigantic and
yeah.
Good times. It's almost like telling an artist they're going to get paid.
That's evil. No, Marion, that is true evil there. You know that's a bald-faced lie.
You're going to get paid. Really? Yeah.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny though? It's like, so I started working with a flatter, and she was like, oh yeah, really. Yeah, he's
That is like Inspector Morris.
Older Inspector Morris or Endeavor Inspector Morris.
Yeah. Called that right.
So I started working with a flatter, and I'm so self-conscious about paying people. Like, she outright told me, it's like, look, you give me the entire issue, you pay me like half up front, and then we pay, and then pay. So what I did was, it's like, I sent her let
me stop you for a second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead with your story though.
And what happened with that, so what I started doing was I would send her like 10 pages and just pay her for the entire bunch. Like, none of this like half and half thing. It's like, no, here's the pages, here's the entire payment for those pages, you know, because it's like I'm so self-conscious about that whole, I don't want to feel like, you know, there's you know, I'm treating you like one of these people. It's like going, oh well, you know, it's like, maybe you'll get paid. Oh, you know, just send me the work and I'll send you send me an invoice 30 days later or something stupid. Yeah. So it's like, now I'm like overcompensating.
Yeah, I'll bill you for the exposure. Yeah.
Yeah, you know. Now it's like, oh, you want? He's like, I want you to flat 10 pages. Here's the money for the entire run.
But to balance it out, you should tell them, like, I need that by this afternoon.
Right. No, no, she's super fast. I mean, she could do an entire issue in a week.
Oh, damn.
Wow.
Yeah.
My wife does flatting, and
yeah.
she's just starting, and she's working on her speed right now. She's got the eye, but she's working on her speed.
I'm on the last 5 pages of my second issue, and the flatting just is just horrific. I hate doing it. And when every time I get a flat, a finished flat page from her, it's like I want to cry at the amount of time it's going to save me.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've noticed, that flatting to color artists is the same thing as transcribing to interviewers.
Yeah,
everyone hates doing it.
Which is weird, because you would think that the shading and putting in the special effects and all like kind of like the niddly details of it would be worse, but no, it's the flatting that's the process I hate the most. I don't know why.
Lola flatted for me for a book and sent it off to my colorist. And
different things.
Huh?
I've flatted for a couple different things.
Yeah, she's done the flats for it. But my colorist, Eugen, doesn't like it. He's like, no, just tell him not to flat it. That and he doesn't want anybody flat. He just wants to do it himself.
Oh, okay.
And it's weird. I'm like, try to save you time.
Right.
So now I'm like, well, for him, we don't flatten anything. It just goes out to him, and he just goes from there. But I think that might just be how, because he probably got used to just coloring black and white images.
Oh,
maybe he
might be that sounds a little particular, but then again, I've also seen posts from flatters who complain about like amateur flatting and and it's just like, okay, look, right, fine.
I still, the concept of flatting is still lost to me. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just do the drawing. How about that? You handle all that BS. I'm not gonna figure out. I need to use this color blue here. And this
well, you see, no, because the thing is that, because that was one thing that I kind of learned really quickly, is that in the end with flatting, it doesn't matter what color. Like I would send her like color guides for characters, and in the end, unless I needed something very specific outlined, now it doesn't matter what color. Like now it's like the things are like day glow. You could put a UV light on the pages, because in the end, I'm the one who's going to fill in the correct colors anyway. But now I can just do fills and drops, and it's like super fast as opposed to tracing out all the shapes.
Yeah. I speaking of colors, someone said, I don't want to say it because they didn't give permission to announce it yet. But someone sent me an image of their campaign, and they got a little thing that's coming with their campaign. And they sent me. And the item that's coming, it's a box. It's so shiny, it looks like it's wet.
Okay.
Like to the point where I think he's gonna send it back and have him take some of that UV coat off of it.
Kind of like what, like glossy.
Shiny? It looks shinier than that.
Really? Wow. Okay.
It's gone to the other side of shine.
Wow.
I like my stuff. This looks slick. Like you couldn't hold it. Like it's gonna.
Wow.
Like somebody rubbed it down in Vaseline or baby oil before they sent it out.
You're saying like that's a problem.
Well, it depends on what the item is.
Book.
Yeah. Well, no, this isn't the book. This is the collector's box. Collector's box.
Oh, like a slipcase or something?
Yeah. And it's like, that's a little shiny.
After it goes through the mail, it won't be so shiny.
Well, yeah, but then that also means that scratches and stuff will show up like that on it.
Yeah. I don't think they're gonna put that in the mail. I think it's gonna go inside a box. Yeah,
but still, though,
that would be.
I mean, you put that on the shelf and it starts
getting scratched. Yeah. The boxes, guys. I like the fact that they went with the UV coating, but I'm afraid that it's gonna start scratching, and after a year or two, it's gonna look like ill.
Right? Yeah, exactly. That would be my concern. Yeah.
Someone said that they're someone put on one of the Reddit pages that they're Aspen did these covers with real water inside of them. Splashing around, yeah.
Oh, okay. Like it has to be some kind of gel or something.
Well, yeah. And the thing is, that's great until those things ship and they.
What's the point of that? What's the point of that?
Yeah.
Oh well, because the character's in the water, and so the characters in the water. So they got this.
That sounds expensive to make, by the way.
Oh yeah, it was the tier that I did not get.
I think I'd have to go with Pops on that one when he said don't give away gimmicks. Add a few pages of artwork, you know.
Yeah, that sounds way too gimmicky. Yeah, that's the thing. There really is a fine line between an enhancement and a gimmick.
Yeah, you can't have a gimmick better than your work.
That's way too extra. Because then it's like, how are you going to display it?
Yeah,
you can't put it on a shelf because you don't want that pressure on that gel, you know, because eventually that plastic is going to start leaking.
Right, and then that's the thing. That's what's happened to someone on Reddit that posted that they had had that issue where there was their cover. Here it is. Here their cover burst and
of course.
There it is.
Yeah, ew.
That is a book you slab, if only for the protection of your collection.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's just
I could see that at CDC as they were slabbing it and having it go.
Yeah, well, that's just the slipcase. It's a slipcase that does that. Not so much the book, but the slipcase. But yeah, I mean, someone's slipcase burst and the water went all over the slipcase and got their book wet, so they were upset.
Well, there is such a thing as being overly, what would the
fancy,
kitschy.
Yeah,
kitschy.
Look, I understand that Kickstarter and crowdfunding is allowing people to do like these crazy, like the book of their dreams type of. But there are some dreams that are not.
Dreams about that
to be reality.
Yeah, I'll be doing a Kickstarter for the special cancer level. All my books will be printed with radium.
Yeah.
Radium and asbestos in this. This is
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Asbestos. There we go.
You can
read genius variant.
And Victorian green wallpaper with the arsenic in it.
I think I was did I get that? I think I got the
morning Charles.
The Thunder Agents, the Thunder Agents book, but there are people, and I was looking at a guy in Ollie's as I was picking up some books about a couple of months ago, and I was buying some of the older stuff. I bought Miracle Man, and he's like, "You read that old shit?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because how else?" My thing is, I'm not going to appreciate the new stuff unless I've read the old stuff.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
And because I'm reading the old stuff, sometimes I appreciate the newer stuff even less. It's like,
that's a modernistic attitude with that that they've been programmed with. It's all Pavlovian. Don't read the old stuff. Don't read the old stuff.
Right? Yeah. No. Look, I just read the stupidest media critic review, which I'm sure they'll figure out how to top. So it's like HBO, I guess, is like putting out this series based on a YA novel series. It's called like Shadow and something. I don't. It's not my thing. So, but this reviewer was reviewing the show in context of having read the books, and this reviewer was paid actual currency to admit to a worldwide audience that they thought the book was complicated to get through because it required you to learn an entirely new universe and learn all these new characters and learn the new rules of magic that are specific to this book. And everyone's like going, why do you even read books if that's an issue for you? It's like you're literally admitting that a YA book challenged you too much.
Well, a similar story.
Good point.
Ring it, Randy, ring it.
And yet these Marvel guys, these Marvel editors will hire somebody for written a YA novel over top of somebody that's written comics.
And it's like, dude, it's like I hope you never go near the Dune series because you're going to be in for a bad time.
Oh yeah, amen.
If this YA novel challenged you they actually called reading the book exhausting because of all the learning they had to do.
Oh no,
it's exhausting because his lips were getting tired.
Yeah, really. I mean, I was just like, this is the state of media we're in today. Isn't it?
Media criticism, yes.
But Brian, I was gonna say
somebody's calling Glenn about his car warranty.
Yeah.
It's Buzz Lightyear. You found the guy who did it.
Yeah. I had a
that was you, wasn't it?
Right.
I had a teacher. Her name was Miss Fogarty. And she was, when we started reading her class, it must have been about 2nd or 3rd grade. But she was on us, and Miss Fogarty hit us. She never wanted a minute, but she beat the hell out of us. But if you got caught reading aloud when you're supposed to be reading to yourself with your lips moving, pop right across the hands.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So to this day, I read silently. I'm like,
good man.
Yeah, I've
good man.
Well, you should.
Because you
I mean, I don't know, because sometimes I actually enjoy reading out loud to myself. It's like, I don't know, it's just something, I'm on my own audiobook.
my hands hurt every time I try to do that. They even
depends whether you're on the bus or not.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's really odd, because my memory of books at the 3rd grade was, I had my 3rd grade teacher read Charlotte's Web to us, and she had to leave the room at the end because she was crying.
Well, yeah.
That's like, wow, that's the power of books right there.
Yeah, exactly. And here is this brain trust member who's complaining about, oh, it's too difficult because I have to learn new characters.
What do you mean there's a talking pig and a talking spider?
Right,
How does that happen?
Oh, I can't.
Many years ago, back in I think it was back in 1971, that long ago, me and my brother and his then fiance, he married her later, Susan, he married her later. We went to see a film. My brother Martin said to me, do you want to come to the pictures tonight? So I said, yeah. And he said, we're going to see, now get this, we are going to see Escape from the Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
Okay.
Remember that.
Escape from the Planet of the Apes. Okay.
So the 3 of us are in the cinema, and this film comes on, and you've probably seen it. It starts off with these marine guys on the beach, and there's a spacecraft floating in the sea. And they go out to it on a couple of dinghies with the guns and all that, and they open the hatch, and 2 guys stand up with spacesuits on. One of them takes his helmet off, and it's a white guy, a human. And the other takes his helmet off, and it's a monkey or an ape. And Susan said out loud, oh, there's no apes in this, is there? Escape from the Planet of the Apes. Right. So
wait. Did tell me she said that because a monkey is not an ape.
No.
Damn dirty apes.
Really? No. Just what? Really?
Everything's the same to Susan, or was. She died a couple of years ago, but we just couldn't believe it. People were looking around like, are you real? Escape from the Planet of the Apes,
Right. Yeah, but that's a monkey.
I don't want to laugh, but
just wasn't paying attention to the title when she came in.
She just didn't pay attention to much, really. But I think
especially, I guess.
Speaking of monkeys, a 59-year wrong has been righted this week. I'm very happy. I've been elated all week. I've been elated.
Right.
Listen, that 1969 is it 69 movie Godzilla versus Kong, it's been wiped from canon. That no longer happened, and I always found that fight suspect anyway. But
talking about, what are you talking about?
He's talking about Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah, Kong versus Godzilla. That the new movie is spectacular.
Yeah, it's look. Nobody's saying it's brilliant, okay? We're not talking about it. It's crazy go nuts, okay?
It ain't War and Peace, son.
Yeah, exactly. Do not be those critics that are going into the Godzilla versus Kong and going, well, the story is very simplistic and this, that, and the other thing, and they spent way too much time. It's like, stop. Stop. It's called Godzilla versus Kong, okay?
As long as there's no anthropoids or lizards in it, I'm good.
Exactly.
I went to see, do you remember Life of Brian? Have you seen Life of Brian?
Yes.
Well, how funny is that film, right?
Yeah.
Well, I went to see that. When was that? About 1979-ish. I went to see that with a girl, and
their movies are a litmus test.
It's a sign.
This will not end. The story will not end.
I'm crying, laughing about 10 minutes into this film because it's funny, isn't it? Right? And this girl nudges me when she nudges me, and I said, "What's going on?" And she said, "Don't don't laugh because the lady behind's not finding it funny.
What?
Oh my God!
That's not your fault.
Yeah, that's not your problem. I've never heard of anything like that before.
It wasn't as if the woman behind who wasn't finding it funny told me.
Obviously,
the girl I was with.
She came expecting a documentary.
Right, yeah, obviously. Yeah. So what was about this guy?
Well, it's about Brian.
It's about me.
His life, yeah.
Right.
And then in the mid-70s, when All the President's Men came out, this is our wicked sense of humor again. Me and a friend of mine went to see it in the afternoon, and then there was the evening people. When we came out the cinema, the evening people were all queuing up to go in. And as we walked past the queue, my friend was saying, "It was Nixon! It was Nixon!"
Okay, that's funny.
Well, there used to be an old joke about Joe Namath, the former quarterback of the New York Jets, that they said that he wasn't exactly the smartest guy in the room ever, even if he was alone. But they made a 1968 movie of Romeo and Juliet, and the story was that he was the only person in the audience that didn't know how it ended.
I made the mistake though a couple of nights ago, and I should have checked with Daphne because she would have known.
Okay.
I was looking for some nice lighthearted film to watch, cartoon.
Oh, okay.
And I decided, I said, "Oh, what's this? Watership Down." I'll watch it.
Yeah, there you go.
Look at you, going through our childhoods.
Yeah.
God.
I watched that depressing movie. And I'm like,
oh, if you love that, if you really, it's like, if you ever come across a movie called The Plague Dogs,
feel good movie of the year.
Oh my God.
I'll be honest.
That's how most people discover Watership Down.
Yeah. It's about bunnies.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I said, I'll watch this little.
And the funny thing is, and the funny thing is that the cover of the video cassette, I have never remembered it being any different. The cover is of a rabbit being strangled in a snare, and there are people still going, "Oh, it got rabbits in it, and it's a cartoon."
It's got to be a lighthearted film, yeah.
Yeah.
You see, that's not what the cover that they have is just the rabbits looking at the camera, like, "Oh, hi, we're rabbits," and I'm like, "Oh, they're gonna." It's
because
Easter,
even Netflix had that snare scene on as their thumbnail for like the longest time. So if they switched it, I don't.
Yeah, I'm like,
welcome to our childhoods.
Yeah, which one is Bugs Bunny?
Yeah, exactly.
I went to see the Eagles in concert, and there was it's expensive these days, the concert, isn't it? I went to see the Eagles. I thought, great, the Eagles, they're brilliant. And in the odd pause between songs, the guy in front's talking to his friend, and he said, "I hate that song. Not this one." And then Hotel California, the guitar comes on for Hotel California. "Oh, no, really?
Why did he bother going to the concert? What was he expecting? Was he expecting like Jello wrestling or something? I mean, what was?
Yeah.
I went to see Stevie Wonder, and he's singing Lately, quiet song, and a really lovely song, and he's playing his piano, and he's singing, and there's a woman about 3 rows behind me, and she's going, "Oh, Stevie, oh," and I looked round and I said to the guy behind me, I said, "Can you tell her to shut up?" And this guy says, "Hey man, live and let live." And I said, "Yeah, exactly. Shut up. I want to hear this."
What's funny? You mentioned the Beatles before. That was the reason why the Beatles stopped touring, because they got tired of going to do a concert and it's just everybody screaming.
That's right.
Because it's like that told them that nobody was listening to the music.
Yeah. Well, if you watch the film, there's a film, isn't there? The last concert they did. Where was it? The concert in America, Candlestick Park, is it in California?
Yeah. All right.
I think it's that one, but you can see them, and they're all the Beatles are laughing because they're playing the wrong chords, and they're just fooling around, and nobody can hear them.
Yeah,
nobody's listening, nobody's bothered.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just a final straw that it's like, you know what? Why bother?
Yeah, so let's not bother. Let's go make Sergeant Pepper instead.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
You have people in the back. You have people in the back yelling, Freebird all the time. A band doesn't want to go out there. Like, I'm not singing that.
Usually they save that for the last song. Usually they save that for the last, because you know what? It's like, because that's also conversely, if they play that too early, then those idiots will be leaving the concert the second the song's over.
Yes. Sweet.
Yeah.
Money,
you know,
then let them lead off with it then.
Like I said, I don't understand. It's like, and you know what's funny? It's not that concert tickets are expensive. It's the Ticketmaster fees that are expensive.
Yeah.
Because it's like you can buy a ticket for like $95 and Ticketmaster will add an extra $200 worth of fees on that ticket.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's so the fact that someone will go there and bitch about every song, it's like, why are you here? That money? Yeah. Could you have spent that money someplace else?
I went to another concert to see David Bowie, and I was devastated. I had to go to the loo. So I went down out of the sort of stadium, you know, the auditorium, so to speak. And there were three guys near the stairs where I went down just to go to the loo. And they were standing there drinking beer, talking about something else. And I thought, David Bowie's singing up there. Yeah. David Bowie.
Yep.
And I thought, maybe these guys have seen him every day for 5 years, but even so, it was David Bowie. Why you can get a pint of beer anyway. And another time I went to see Simon and Garfunkel at Wembley Stadium, and there were these two guys, and they were pissed out of their brains, and meaning drunk. They were drunk out of their brains, and they both fell asleep at my feet when I was on the pitch, you know, the football field at Wembley Stadium, like at Live Aid type of scenario, same stadium. I was there watching Simon and Garfunkel do the first tour in 25 years.
Yeah, really.
And these two guys were drunk, absolutely wrecked, and they both fell asleep at my feet, and they missed the entire concert.
Yep.
And I thought,
but you know, I put money that to this day they go, oh yeah, we were there. We were there.
Yeah,
they were great. I saw every second of them.
I just can't believe it.
Couldn't blink.
Fancy going seeing that, all that. I mean, they were from Liverpool, which is near me. So we'd all gone 200 miles, spent all this money. I mean, I wasn't with them, but they come from a similar place to me, a few miles from me. And we'd gone all that way, 200 whatever it is miles to Wembley Stadium, queued up for 4 hours, and then they were pissed out of the brains when they came out and they didn't see it.
Yeah,
it was kind of like a similar situation when we were at the Louvre and we were in front of Winged Victory. I mean, this is it's like, look, you know, it's like we're in front of this thing. Yes, it's in every book, every art book, every book that ever been published. This statue is in it, but there's something about seeing it in person that like that you really it's like seeing the Eiffel Tower in person. It's like you understand at that moment why this is considered, you know, what it is. And then there was this kid next to me that I wanted to slug, where he was just going, we see that all the time in all the books. And I wanted to take that statue and beat him to death with, because it's like, again, why are you here? Yeah. You look grown. You could have said no. You could have done whatever, you know, smoked pot out front if that's what you wanted to do.
He probably didn't even have a head.
Right. No, it was that vibe. It was that vibe. Yeah. You know, like he's literally sucking his teeth and he's bored to death. And it's like, why are we looking at this?
Yeah.
You know,
incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and I guess I haven't. I know the statue, and but at one point, it was not like that, right? At one point, had everything, right? Yeah.
They think they might have found
like
the arm at one point, but they're not sure how it might have.
Yep.
It's like those Egyptian things where they chisel out the faces and take off the private parts and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But all those private parts have turned up in a drawer in a museum, so they didn't throw them away.
Right, no, they keep everything.
It's like the guy who told.
Don't know how it goes.
It's like that producer who was a forward thinker who. Do you remember when Elvis? I don't remember this, but apparently Elvis couldn't be filmed from the waist down. When he was on TV.
Right,
But there was a forward-thinking producer who thought some people are going to want to see this one day, so he had camera 6 or whatever it was film all of Elvis, so we can see him now doing it.
Yeah,
and that's quite a good thinking from people. You know, just instead of just erasing the whole thing, and we just wonder what it would be like. This guy thought somebody's going to want to see this.
Mm-hmm.
And
and then find out that it really and then it's like you laugh because it's like, oh, that wasn't such a big deal. But
that's
you know,
right.
It was at the time though. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, I mean, and it just amazes me that people there are people screaming to want to go back to that type of thing. You know, where they're talking about that we should be following the freaking Hays Code, you know, for media. And it's like, what planet are you on?
Or bringing back the Comic Code Authority.
Right, yeah. But I mean, they want to go all the way back to the 1930s, 1930s morality. And it's like, you know what? Maybe we should, you know, send you to Mars and leave us alone. So
leave Mars alone. Don't blame it on Mars.
We should with a bunch of YA novels.
You should really leave Mars alone. I don't know if you guys heard, but Mars needs moms. So, it's very important to
I dare you to walk up to Robert Zemeckis and say that.
Yeah.
Bob, you know, Mars needs moms.
Yeah.
And see how long you last.
I have a problem. I have a problem with I think it's NASA, maybe, I'm not sure, but Americans, because when no, listen.
I have a checklist.
Listen. No, listen.
Look around you, Glenn. Look around you.
Listen to what I'm saying. I'm sure you'll agree. When the Mars probe, the last one, is it Curiosity, landed, they wanted it when it landed, they wanted it to play. They wanted to play a song to Mars. Now, what's the obvious song?
Spiders from Mars. Yeah.
Is There Life on Mars? David Bowie.
Oh yeah.
But they wouldn't play it because he wasn't American. So it played Johnny B. Good or something.
You know, there used to be there was
that Canadian astronaut that did play, you know, Major Tom. But
he wasn't on Mars and he was Canadian, so that's not the point.
But this is Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry transcends borderlines. You know what I'm saying?
There was
so does Little Richard, but hey,
that's another issue. We're not here to judge.
There was there used to be this thing where they would not let certain celebrities play characters. Like for the longest, you weren't gonna have you were not gonna have a non-American Superman. Yeah, it wasn't gonna happen. And now we got Henry Cavill. You know, which is like they finally said, okay, well,
you can't have an American James Bond.
He's not. He's Australian. No.
Henry Cavill's from he's from the UK, isn't he? He's
British.
British.
But I agree with that. It's like James Bond. They don't let.
I was about to say, yeah.
The only British actors can play.
Doctor Who's
even though what is it? Sean Connery was Scottish.
Let me tell you when.
Same thing.
Let me tell you, I'm gonna.
Iran, Iraq. What's the difference?
I'll tell you guys something. I'll tell you, and I want you. I got the inside scoop on this. Okay, let me tell you exactly when there will be an American James Bond.
Go on.
Right when they decide, you know what? Let's cast Idris Elba. No, we got American. We can get American. We get. We get American. We'll get American.
That's true.
Well, there was a non.
Idris Elba. It's like, no.
There was a non-British Bond, though, wasn't there?
Yeah.
George
I'll
Lazenby.
give you that one.
Yeah. George Lazenby was Australian, so.
Yeah. Well, you know, they said, according to Adam West, that when Sean Connery quit the first time, that he was tapped by the producers to, you know, this was after Batman got canceled. They said, we would like you to play James Bond. And he said, no, it's got to be British. And of course, it could have been like Adam saying, you know, stretching the truth to the breaking point, but just the same. But he could play that type of character.
I think that's like I think he's like, that could have worked.
Yeah,
I agree. And it's like now you have American TV where like 80% of it is either British or Australian actors who can do a better American accent than we can.
Really.
Well, isn't Thor Australian?
Yes, Thor's Australian.
Yeah, Hemsworth's Australian, yeah.
And that guy on Band of Brothers, he was British, wasn't he? He's English.
Yeah.
Captain Winters, that guy.
Yeah.
Look, there's I thought we were gonna get a British Captain America. Wouldn't that have been funny?
I'm Captain America.
Yeah. But I know we got. Tom Holland. He's British.
Is he? I didn't know.
Yeah.
He's got a hard accent when he
but
talks.
you see, but that's the thing. There's a lot of actors that for the life I could have sworn they were American, and it's like no, they're just not only are they British, but they have like a Cockney accent.
Yeah,
New Yorker.
Yeah, Dustin Hoffman wanted to play James Bond.
Yeah,
that'd be funny, wouldn't it?
There's an actor right now that's on Bridgerton on Netflix. It's a Netflix show. He's not coming back for a second season. In the first minute, I told the wife that, she went, "Oh, he's James Bond."
Right. Oh,
right there. He's James Bond.
I've heard about that, Randy. I heard about that him not coming back, and some women are very upset.
Yeah, very upset. And it's like that's the first thing that she said. "Oh, he's James Bond."
Right.
It's like, well, they just cast a woman as James Bond. That might he might be James Bond, dear, very much. Yeah.
Look, I mean, honestly,
they might jump that ship in a hurry.
We have Jason Bourne for a reason. You know, it's like I don't think we need to
Jack
constantly,
Ryan.
and Jack, right? Jack we don't need to constantly keep like, oh, well, what if we had James Bond but different? You know, but a different actor or something. It's like, how about creating a brand new character? You know, I mean, people keep complaining about how there's nothing original out there, but then we want to eat the same food.
I want to
Jack
see
Batman.
I'm waiting for when what's he called? James Bourne. What's the actor called? Matt Damon.
Damon.
I want to see Matt Damon cast as the Black Panther.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that'll work.
It's only fair. It's only fair.
Damon is
I think if anybody wants to watch a movie that's probably as close to a female James Bond you're going to get, watch Atomic Blonde. It's Charlize Theron. It's spectacular. I mean, it's the same producer of John Wick, so that gives you an idea.
If you read the James Bond's novels, it's quick to establish that he's a misogynist, a womanizer, all this kind of stuff.
Yep.
Well, that's not going to look good on a lady, is it? If she's going to play that, so therefore, it's not James Bond or Jane Bond. It's a different character.
It is. It's like they should make different characters as opposed to instead of making a female James Bond, I got Atomic Blonde instead. And trust me, I much prefer it.
Right, well, that's good. That's okay.
On behalf of
and it's based on a graphic novel, by the way. So there we go. We spun it back to comics.
By the way, this is about comics. On behalf of the Black community, Glenn, there can never be a white T'Challa. There we go.
I agree. It's just like you can't have black people playing white characters. What's the point?
What are you talking about?
You can't have, Wonder Man is not the same thing.
Well, I'll tell you, the Human Torch was black, wasn't he? In the film?
In the last the reboot, the film
why?
Reboot, yeah.
Why? And before that, Alicia was black, and she's not black in my comics.
No, so, she's they cast her.
I think there's certain characters where, I don't know, for me, it doesn't really matter. But they're like, when you're talking about like main, like really, really established, popular pop culture icons. I mean, it's like they're not even characters anymore. These are like corporate IPs that made it to the, I mean, it's like I said, I would rather have original characters than have something shoehorned.
I'll be honest with you. Listen, Superman is accepted because he doesn't look like me. You tell me somebody flies down.
Cameron says Superman's a Hebrew anyway.
Yeah, don't tell everybody that. Superman's what? No, let's get rid of him. On top of that, he's from Cleveland. Let's get rid of him.
Right. Krypton is a suburb.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I said this to you guys on another show. As far as I understand it, when I used to read the comics, like when I used to read Spider-Man in the mid '60s and late '60s, the book was really about Peter Parker, who happened to be Spider-Man.
Yes.
But now, if you put the Spider-Man costume on, you're a Spider-Man.
Yes.
Right. Anybody
that's not right.
can be. Well, but it's funny. That was kind of like the theme of Into the Spider-Verse. That it's like, that technically anybody can be Spider-Man, but you still have to, embody something in order to really be Spider-Man.
They got these kids getting bit by
get
spiders
bitten
out here.
get bitten by a radioactive spider.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there's literally like even Spider-Ham. I mean, yeah. Have you seen Into the Spider-Verse? Because it actually really goes through this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My son wants tarantulas so he can get bit. He does.
There we go.
Everybody, yeah. So it's like anybody can be Spider-Man as long as there's a certain pattern you follow.
But again, though, the Spider-Man thing is a huge example of the problems with modern comics. They're no longer writing characters; they're writing IPs.
Yeah,
that's why it's more important for the Spider-Man suit to be out there in order to call whoever Spider-Man. But Peter Parker is a whole different matter. They can make him fat and bloated and separated from his wife or anything that they need to do. Because that's not Spider-Man to them anymore.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You're Peter Parker.
Well, Spider-Man
but you can't trademark Peter Parker.
No.
Spider-Man had to be separated from Mary Jane because that hack of a writer who was writing him at the time has never had a wife in his life, so he didn't know how to write that. Anyway,
you know what's funny? That you'd be amazed at how much stuff like that affects writing quality.
Probably truer than you realize.
Yeah.
I don't know how to write it. By the way, too, I seen Marv say Robert Downey Jr.'s Black Panther. I'm down, which would be great because anything to get Robert Downey Jr. back in the MCU, I'm down for. But there's a quote going around:
"Return of Tropic Thunder."
We got to stop
it for him.
People, for some bizarre reason, keep seeing that movie, keep arguing about that movie as if it was literal and not satire.
Yeah,
I mean, really,
that heralds back to the lack of sense of humor in modern society.
Lack of sense of humor,
Nobody
lack
can
of
take
media
a joke anymore.
Lack of actual media criticism and understanding what you're looking at and being, like self-critical of media and understanding the nuance of the story. It's like, nah, screw it. It's like if it's not like a fine ground paste I could just, digest, and pass. It's like, oh, it's complicated.
There's a quote going around that says, don't be there's a quote that says that Charlie Chaplin went to a Charlie Chaplin lookalike contest.
Yeah, I heard that story.
And it came in second in 92. Yeah. I'm like, if he came in second in 92, it's because he died in 77.
Right.
And and people are
it's like but the story, yeah, of course he was still alive. Yeah, but I've heard variations of this story.
Yeah, and I've heard the same thing about Dolly Parton. She went to a Dolly Parton lookalike contest, and she did not win.
No.
So it means she's got to up her game.
Yeah,
that's all it means. That's all I can interpret.
She's too busy running an empire.
Yeah,
saving the world.
Yeah, teaching kids to read and having vaccines made and stuff.
Wait a minute. Reading, now, I hear that's pretty complicated. Now, Dolly, we gotta have a talk. Call me.
And on
that path right now.
On that note, we want to thank everybody for listening to this episode of Sunday Funnies, where we talk about the fun side of comics.
I kind of think
it's the Sunday Funnies for April 4th, 2021. Thanks so much for being on, Brian and Glenn and everybody else. Glenn, tell folks how they can get a hold of you.
You can get me on Facebook and at Comics Unlimited Magazine at gmail.com. Those are the best two places. I'm on Twitter, but not so much, and Instagram. I'm still trying to work out how to forward a photograph. I can't work it out. So Facebook and Comics Unlimited Magazine at gmail.com.
Cool. Brian, tell folks how they can get a hold of you.
I'm on Facebook also my books are on Amazon, and I have a YouTube channel where you can see my broadcasts, and I'm on almost as much as Indie Volt, so I have nothing else to do.
I have nothing to do. Nothing more to do.
It keeps us off the streets.
Yeah, thank God for that.
Indie Princess, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
Linktree. Indie_princess, the best way to get a hold of me. All my links are there. And you can also go to Indiegogo and look up Lore, which is funding right now.
It's LURE. So,
yep.
Adult, how would you describe it?
It's a adult thriller. Adult thriller.
Graphic novel.
Yeah. I was trying to think of the words. It's still early, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're lucky I'm here.
Well, we don't want to not mention your campaign. That's the thing.
I actually just got another backer. So.
Yay! Thank you.
I've been out there hustling. I've been out there hustling for this campaign.
Hustling.
If she doesn't
that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Nothing. There used to be an old slogan more. Nothing in this world can prepare you. I'm like, any world can prepare her for this because the very things we talked about. Nah, she wasn't ready. I say, look, you're gonna have bad days.
Yeah. Wait until you hit the plateau where nothing happens for 2 weeks.
Yeah. She had a bad 30 minutes and was like, no.
Revolt's been there for too long, actually.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Daphne, tell folks how they can get a hold of you.
Oh, you can find me at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you'll find links to all of my galleries and social media, where you can find links to talltalesonline.com, TAILS, where you can sign up for the Kickstarter for Thieves Quest Volume 1, which premieres tomorrow at noon. It starts my entire series from the beginning, from issue 1. When I say 1992, this is it.
Wow.
So we can start it all from the beginning. You can also check out Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn. You can read the first 5 issues for free at egoworks.com. And you can also sign up for the Kickstarter when this premieres in May. And for everybody else who wants something a little bit different, I also have a direct link to the House of Bob gallery, which you have to sign up at Fur Affinity to see, but it's there because I know you weirdos want this. So.
But that's so hard to read. You have to get used to a whole different type of magic.
For real. No, absolutely. If you want elitist, minimum run comics, with a whole new world you have to learn and all new characters, and everyone has animal heads to boot, Tall Tales Online, sign up, Kickstarter tomorrow, noon, be there.
Varian, tell folks how they can get a hold of you.
You folks can reach me at KYD_V on Twitter. Varian Grant pretty much everywhere else. Check out indievolt.com as well as Liberty Entertainment Distribution, helping you get your independent comics in stores all over. And and by the way, a independent comic book distributor that preaches inclusivity. Not pushing people out because of I just want to put that out there because there's companies that are doing that. So anyway, yes, you can find me Varian Grant on every other social network. I love to talk to you about comics or what goes on in the private lives of those who make them. Yeah,
and insurance.
and insurance, yes.
Did you mention Liberty?
I did.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, and folks, I've been your host, Randy Zimmerman. You can find me on Facebook under Randy Zimmerman. You can find me on Twitter under Randy Zim. You can find the Arrow Comics 4.0 page over on Facebook. We're premiering new art all the time. Whenever somebody posts something that's Arrow Comics related, I always repost it over there so that you can see the quality of work that is getting ready to come out. We are in full production on a number of titles that'll be coming out starting in August. And also right now we have the Indie Volt Revolt book available over on Indiegogo. And it's right there. We're at 44 backers at $1,720. We're 137% funded. Take a look at that campaign. It is a sequential art collection, a collection of short stories by a number of contributors that are regular voices here on Indie Volt or that are regular voices in our chat. You'd be amazed to who's in this book. It's already over 120 pages thick, and it will be 130 pages as soon as we get another 6 backers. So come on, folks. We want this book to be as thick as possible. We still have only 41 days left in the campaign, so get in on it now. The sooner that you sign in and back this project, the more pages that we're going to know that we need to do. We'll be able to get those done in time for the end of the campaign. And as fast as that book can be done, I've got about 90% of it in-house, probably more than that right now at the moment. Once that's done, we're going to press. So once the print file is together, then we're going. But every 50 backers here adds another 10 pages to this book. So please feel free to jump on. I might end up having to change that to every 25 backers just so we can make the book nice and thick.
And Randy, I want to stress that when Randy says he's going to print, like it takes, we both live about 45 minutes from the printer.
Yeah, like about 45 minutes right from there.
It's literally know where they live.
Yeah, it's a quick trip. It's a quick trip. It's like, so when he says he's taking it, it's a quick trip. He doesn't have to email anything in. He takes it in on the flash drive. Here you guys go. And it's back to him.
And this is not a product that's going to be on demand. As soon as the campaign is closed, it's closed. And we're going to fill out those numbers and a few extras for damages and problems. And then after that, it's done. And we'll be going on to other things because, like I said, we're in full production now on a line of books that we're hoping to start up here in August on a regular basis for the direct market, available through Liberty Distribution.
Slab it. Slab your copy.
Slab them all.
Yeah.
Put it up there with that Spawn #1.
Buy two so that you can read one and slab the other.
Well, you have to buy 4 actually, because you have to slab with
one of each cover.
alternate cover. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah.
That's true.
And then you got to make sure that you have you got to have someone there to be there to verify that you actually got the signatures. It's just going to be a whole thing.
Well, we do have a great retailer perk that might come in handy. $75 for 3 copies a piece of each cover set. So 6 books, $75. So anyway, take a look at that. It's on Indiegogo. It is the Indie Revolt Sequential Art Collection. So other than that, is there anything else? Yeah, you can go to the Aero Comics 4.0 YouTube channel for our videos. I'll be posting new stuff up there shortly. I'm in the middle of a commercial job again right now. So as soon as that's done, we'll try to get some more material up there. And when I'm not working on the commercial job, I'm actually coloring comic pages. So
I gotta finish doing that myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna get this rolling. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So we should mention the awards. Should we run the should we run the Indie Volt Awards? We have a little commercial for that. Let's run that right now. And that's coming up on September 18th of this year over at Dave & Buster's. We are going to be streaming that live across Indie Volt and any other place that wants to carry it, right? No?
Yeah, and a couple of different places that carry it. We're still working it out with Facebook, but definitely be on the Indie Volt YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed, go over there, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you can stay up to date with when that happens.
And this is a judged event. It's not a popularity contest. We are taking submissions for books for consideration. There is a small fee, but that fee goes directly to Autism Speaks.
Mm-hmm. And that fee is getting ready to actually raise on the 30th. So definitely take advantage of the early bird deadline. Get your books in as soon as possible because April 30th, it goes up $1. Save that $1. Keep it in your pocket. It's true.
And we're going to be back on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Indie Volt Livewire program. Monday night at 9 p.m. also, Eric Hodson and Varian do a show based on It Came From Webtoons, where they talk about digital comics. Then again, Wednesday evening at 9 p.m., the Indie Princess runs the Geekgasm, and Daphne co-hosts most of the time, where we talk about geekdom and media from hopefully a female perspective.
Sexy female perspective.
Sexy female perspective. Then Varian and I are back again Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Times for the Breakfast Buzz, where we talk about comic geekdom and other related things. Insurance? What? Yeah, insurance. Sure. Then we'll be back again on Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to hopefully talk about comics and everything, every other place that we can go on the Sunday Funnies program. We deeply appreciate you tuning in today. Is there closing numbers?
41.
So we want to tell everybody out there we deeply appreciate you listening in, and we thank you for listening. Any last words, anybody?
Independent comics, especially ours.
Check your insurance.
Check your insurance. We're going out the way we came in, folks.
Readers are leaders.
Yeah.
There we go.
Exactly.
Don't be afraid. Yes.
It's not exhausting.
It's not exhausting.
It's exhilarating.
All sorts of worlds out there for you to explore in them pages.
So tired.
Take care, everybody. Have a good rest of your weekend. We'll see you soon.
Ciao.
Accomplished.
Daphne, do we have something we want to add to this?
Yeah.
You knew the job was dangerous when you took it, Fred.